Hey guys, welcome back to Mo's Game Table. Today we're going to take a look inside A Victory Awaits, Operation Barbarossa, 1941. This is a game designed by Tetsuya Nakamura and is published by Multiman Publishing. Well, everybody, or most everybody, is familiar with A Victory Lost and A Victory Denied. A Victory Lost was designed by Tetsuya, and this is going to use the same system. And I've played A Victory Lost, Victory Denied, had a really good time with them, and it's a pretty simple, straightforward system. Chip pull activation, which I love because you just never know who's going to get pulled next, and it really works well in solitaire play. So when I saw they were coming out with a Barbarossa one, I said, you know what, I got to get it. So let's take a look at the back of the box and see what this game's all about. Famed Japanese designer Tetsuya Nakamura, who created A Victory Lost, Fire in the Sky, A Most Dangerous Time, and What Price Glory, returns to the East Front with Victory Awaits. Using a lightly modified version of the Victory Lost system, the game covers Operation Barbarossa from June 22nd to mid-September. Gameplay features the same chip pull mechanics used in AVL, with 10 one-week turns. Players can play either the full campaign game or the Army Group North, Army Group Center, or Army Group South scenarios. Each of the scenarios plays on a single map or play the full campaign on all 3 maps. The design was originally published as a series of 3 games in Japan: Fierce Fight, Leningrad Blitzkrieg, Fierce Fight, Smolensk Blitzkrieg, and Fierce Fight, Kiev Blitzkrieg. The game also includes rules for multiplayer, 4 to 8 players, and a series of optional rules, including a variant on the multiplayer rules. The rules have been expertly translated into English with detailed assistance from the designer. Components: we get a 16-page full-color rulebook, 840 counters, 3 map sheets, 2 CRT Tech player aid cards, 2 turn record sheets, and 1 die. It is rated as high on a solitaire suitability scale, and the complexity is low. At the top, we see an example of the map and the counters. We get 3 scenarios, 1 campaign. Game scale is units or divisions. Hexes are 16 kilometers across, and turns are 10 days long. So let's take a look inside and see what we get. All right, we get our D6 over here. Probably another one somewhere tucked in here. Get a clarification sheet, a rule book, charts and tables, and an inventory sheet. The counters, and our maps. So let's set up the maps and take a closer look at the game. And we'll take a look at the maps that come with the game. First off is the Smolensk map. There are 3 different ones, and this will be the middle section of the map. As you can see, if you lift it up here, you can see it does not have a border at the top or bottom, but everything is really easy to read. Beautifully done map. I really like the color palette used, and like I said, everything is easy to read. Hex numbers, the cities, all of that information just pops right out at you. And then when we go from the Smolensk map, we'll take a look at the Kiev map, which is the south map right here. And you can see, same thing, beautifully done, easy to understand. All of the text, all of the different types of terrain features on the map. Got your box for your eliminated units, German available and Soviet available at the bottom left. And the final map is the top map, which is for Leningrad. Just like the other 2, very beautifully done. Altogether, this is going to look fantastic on the table. Next, we'll take a look at the player aids. We have the charts and tables here. On the front, we have the combat results table, and below that, we have the sequence of play. On the back, we have the terrain effects chart listing out all of the different types of terrain, as well as a graphical example of each. You get the movement cost, your combat effects, as well as effects for advance after combat explained to you as well. On the next sheet, we have the Leningrad scenario turn track, which gives you boxes for your eliminated units, German available units, and the Soviet available units. And on the back, we have the same for the Smolensk scenario. On the next sheet, we have the Kiev scenario turn track. And on the back of that, we have the campaign turn track. Next, we'll take a look at the counters that come with the game. And on the front sheet, we have a mix of Soviet and Germans. One of the key things here when you get this game is to make sure you look at the letters on the left-hand side. L is going to be for the Leningrad map, and you're going to have S on the first sheet, which is for the Smolensk map. So when you're breaking your counters down into different groups, make sure you sort them out based on the 3 different scenarios. even though there is a campaign as well, but you want to keep your Leningrad counters with your Leningrad group, Kiev counters with your Kiev group, and the Smolensk counters with your Smolensk group. Something that's very easy to overlook, but very important when you're trying to find those counters for each scenario. On the next sheet, we have German and Soviet forces for both the Kiev and Smolensk scenario. And on the final counter sheet, we have the remainder of the Kiev counters. And on the right-hand side, you have alternate silhouette counters if you choose to use those instead of the armor counters that are out there. I always go with the silhouette, especially with this system, because I think these counters are very bland. And this helps me at a glance see where all of my armor units are. And lastly, we'll take a look at the rules. This is a 15-page full-color rulebook. On the inside of the front cover, we have the table of contents listing out all the rules, their associated page numbers. Bottom of the page, we get into the introduction, game components, an explanation of how to read the map and the counters, game concepts like stacking, zones of control, lines of communication, control of city hexes, then preparing for play. And we have the sequence of play starting on page 5. Command selection, resolving commands, activation, movement. We've got illustrated examples here, as you can see, sprinkled throughout. Then we get into combat on page 8 with illustrated examples, supply, headquarters, fortresses, special rules, victory conditions, and optional rules on page 11, headquarters transfer. And then we get to the individual scenarios on page 12. So not a lot of rules, like maybe 7 pages of rules. This is a pretty straightforward, easy game to grok and get on the table. Leningrad, Smolensk, and Kiev. Then we have the multiplayer campaign, how you can break down the roles for a multiplayer campaign from 4 to 8 players, multiplayer variant. And then, of course, you've got all 3 maps laid out together. Your Leningrad map for Army Group North, Smolensk for Center, and then Kiev for South. And then on the back of the rulebook, we have the terrain effects chart. And that is a look at everything you get inside of A Victory Awaits, Operation Barbarossa, 1941. This is a game designed by Tetsuya Nakamura and is published by Multi-Man Publishing. Well, if you've played A Victory Lost or A Victory Denied, you know exactly what is in store for you with A Victory Awaits. It's the same system, really fast-playing game. Yeah, with the big old all 3 maps, it's going to be longer, of course, because you got a lot more counters, but still, you're going to be able to play a monster-sized scenario or campaign in this instance in a shorter amount of time than you ever would with any of the other monster games. So that is the beauty of this system. It really streamlines things and allows you to play really quick. And with the chit bowl, it really makes for a fun, chaotic time opposed or when you're playing solitaire. Solitaire makes it that much better because you just pull and go. You don't have to think about, well, if I move this unit, this will happen. If I move that unit, this will happen. It eliminates all that with the chit bowl, which is fantastic. The only pet peeve I have with this system, as much as I've really enjoyed it, is the counters. I know some people may say I'm being a little too nitpicky, but I get the whole color coding. It really does suit the game very, very well. But I would love to see better looking counters rather than these counters are kind of bland. I do appreciate the fact that they give you the tank silhouettes instead of looking at the armor counters, because I always switch those out, because when I want to look at a glance at the map and see where my armor is, or my armor has a heavier presence, same for mine, whether it be mine or it be the opponent's, I definitely want to be able to look at and see the tank silhouettes. So thankfully they have those. But maybe in the future they can do something and kind of update these, make them a little nicer looking, because that's the only thing that I find is a flaw in this system at all is just the counters, and that's just personal. Call me crazier if you want, but that's just a personal feeling on it. But other than that, this is a fantastic system, and if you've not gotten it, definitely recommend picking it up. Either A Victory Lost, Victory Denied, or the latest A Victory Awaits. Well, I hope that helps you guys out if you've been curious about this one. If you have any comments or questions, post them down below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.